You know, in today's world, money is zipping across borders every single second. We're talking business deals, kids going to university overseas, big-time investments, you name it. For a huge economy like India, trying to manage that, well, that's a massive job. And believe it or not, the rules that control this huge river of foreign cash don't just matter to giant companies. They actually affect all of us, probably more than you think.
I mean, have you ever really stopped to think about it? How does a country like India keep track of trillions of dollars, euros, and yen flowing in and out? Every time you buy something online from another country, every student who goes abroad, every single foreign company that sets up shop here, it all has to be managed. So how do they do it? How do you manage all that without just grinding the entire economy to a halt? Well, the answer comes down to one really important law.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll take a quick trip back in time to see the old, super strict way of doing things. Then we'll jump to the modern era and see how everything changed. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the rulebook itself, the two main types of transactions you need to know about. And finally, we'll wrap up with why any of this actually matters and what happens when you don't follow the rules.
Okay, so to really get a handle on where India is now, we've got to look at where it's been. And for a long, long time, when it came to foreign money, the government's approach could be summed up in just one word: control.
This whole story really kicks off way back in 1939. But the real heavyweight, the law that defined this era of tight control, was the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, or FERA, from 1973. And man, FERA was the law of the land for decades, until, well, everything changed. The economic liberalization in 1991 wasn't just some small policy tweak, it was a total game changer. It blew the doors open and set the stage for the system we have now, FEMA, which came along in 1999.
See, the thing you have to get about FERA is that it came from a mindset of scarcity. It was like the country thought of foreign currency as this super precious, limited resource that had to be hoarded. Think of it like a dragon sitting on a pile of gold. The main goal was to conserve it, not really manage it. So every single dollar that left India was seen as a major loss. You can imagine how that created a really tough environment for anyone trying to do business internationally.
And when you put the two laws side by side, wow, it is literally night and day. FERA was all about restricting and regulating. FEMA is about managing and facilitating. Under FERA, if you messed up, it was considered a criminal offense. And get this, the presumption was that you were guilty until you could prove you were innocent. FEMA flipped that completely on its head. Now violations are civil offenses, and you're considered innocent until proven guilty. This wasn't just a legal update. It was a fundamental shift in how India viewed its place in the world economy.
So after the big changes in '91, it was clear India needed a new rulebook, one that wasn't a strict gatekeeper, but more of a helpful facilitator for a country that was opening up to the world. And that's precisely what FEMA was created to do. And you can see this new philosophy right in the official wording of the law itself. You see phrases like facilitating external trade and promoting orderly development. That's a huge departure from the old way. The goal wasn't just to plug leaks and stop money from leaving anymore. It was about creating a stable, predictable system where money could flow both ways, in and out, to fuel trade and attract investment.
Okay, so how does this all work on a practical level? Well, FEMA basically splits every single foreign currency transaction into two big buckets. And trust me, getting the difference between these two is the absolute key to understanding how the whole system works.
First up, you've got what's called a current account transaction. The simplest way to think about this is your everyday, regular international stuff. We're talking about payments for things like trade, paying your kids' university fees in another country, travel expenses, medical care, or sending money back home to support your family. It's all about the money flowing for goods and services right now.
Then, on the other hand, you have capital account transactions. Now, these are a whole different beast. These are about your long-term financial picture. Think of the big-ticket items that actually change what you own or what you owe, your assets and liabilities. This includes things like buying property overseas, investing in stocks of a foreign company, or even an Indian company getting a big loan from a bank abroad.
Here's a really simple way to lock this in your brain. Think of the current account as your checking account. It's for the money that's constantly moving in and out for your day-to-day life. The capital account? That's more like your investment portfolio. It's for the big moves you make to build long-term wealth. See? That analogy really helps cut through all the technical jargon.
Now, just because the new system is about facilitating doesn't mean it's a total free-for-all. Oh no. The rules are crystal clear that some things are completely off-limits. We're talking about stuff like sending your lottery winnings overseas or remittance from horse racing. You also can't make payments for banned magazines or for those old callback phone services. These are the hard and fast no's.
So for pretty much everything else, especially when you're dealing with larger amounts of money, there's a straightforward process. Step 1, figure out what kind of transaction it is. Is it for business travel, paying a consultant, making a donation? Step 2, you check if the amount is over a certain limit. If it is, you might need a thumbs up from the government or the Reserve Bank of India. And step 3, and this is crucial, you have to do the transaction through an authorized person, which is usually just your bank. That's how you keep it all legal.
All right, let's circle back to the capital account. Remember, this is the investment portfolio side of things. We're talking about the big moves, the transactions that really change your financial position by buying major assets or taking on debt across borders.
So what does that actually mean? Well, for someone living in India, it means you can do things like invest in foreign stocks or buy property outside the country. And for someone who's not a resident, they can do the reverse. They can invest in an Indian company or buy property right here in India. It's a two-way street, and that's exactly what FEMA was built to create.
But of course, with all this new freedom and easier access comes a whole lot of responsibility. The rules aren't just suggestions, and if you break them, well, the consequences can be pretty serious.
So let's talk penalties. If you break a rule and they can put a number on it, a specific amount of money, the penalty can be up to 3 times that amount. That's right, 3x. It's a huge number, and it's designed to make you think twice and make sure everybody plays by the rules.
And it doesn't even stop there. If they can't put a specific number on the violation, there's a hefty penalty of up to 2 lakh rupees. If the violation keeps happening, they can tack on another 5,000 rupees for every single day it continues. For really serious stuff, we're talking about possible jail time, up to 5 years. And to top it all off, they can confiscate the currency, the property, whatever was involved. Yeah, this system definitely has teeth.
So when you take a step back and look at the big picture, the shift from FERA to FEMA is so much more than just a change in the law. It's really the story of India's entire economic transformation. It was a deliberate choice to stop being a closed-off gatekeeper and instead to step up and become an active, major player in the global economy.
And that brings us to one final thought, looking toward the future. The world of money and finance, as we all know, never stops changing. Technology evolves, trade patterns shift, new ways to invest pop up all the time. The rules have to keep up. The jump from FERA to FEMA was a massive one, for sure. But this isn't the end of the story. So the real question is, as India's economy keeps growing and getting more integrated with the world, what's next? What will the next evolution of these rules look like?